In this short video, I'll walk you through an example of how to run the HSO Onloader function. But first, I'll highlight the key functions included in HSO. HSO, or High-Speed Offloader and Onloader from AcuWorkflow, is a bulk data mover solution for Smartsheet customers. HSO is installed locally on the customer premises and includes two functions, HSO Offloader and HSO Onloader. HSO uses a sysadmin token to obtain a list of all the users in the source Smartsheet account. Then it uses that list to generate a list of all workspaces in the account. HSO Offloader is designed to copy the selected users and workspaces from the source Smartsheet account, and then it saves those exported copies to an external file location. In the process, a configuration file is created, which contains all the offload information. Then, after one or more offloads have completed, HSO Onload can be used to import sheets to one or more user accounts in the targeted Smartsheet customer account. This can be the same Smartsheet account that the offloader used, or it can be a completely different Smartsheet customer account in the same or a different Smartsheet region. As with the offloader process, a configuration file is created, which contains all the onload information. In this video, I will be demonstrating the steps to complete an HSO onload operation. At a high level, when it comes to onloading, restoring, or importing sheets back into Smartsheet from an external source, there are two main scenarios to consider. The first scenario is when you need to onload a sheet back to the same Smartsheet account in the same Smartsheet region. In this case, you can simply use the onload configuration file that is generated by default. In the second scenario, you may need to onload or import one or more users and workspaces into a different Smartsheet account than the offloaded account, and it could also be a different Smartsheet region. Say, for example, if you need to migrate data from your account in the European region to your account in the US region. In this case, you will need to use a customized onload configuration file, and you may need to use a different sysadmin token and region selection. We will demonstrate both scenarios in this video. Before we get into the demonstration, I need to provide some additional background information about the data that is offloaded or exported from Smartsheet. When offloading sheets from Smartsheet, HSO uses the Export to Excel API call. This is the same as a user doing an export to Excel from the user interface. HSO uses the Smartsheet public API for all its Smartsheet-related functions, and this means that there are some limitations associated with the API functionality. When using the regular export function, the resulting exported sheet does not include all the formatting and data that exists in the source sheet in Smartsheet. When you launch HSO, it will first start up a console server window. Then it will launch a browser window and open the HSO console. The HSO console consists of three main panels. On the right-hand side is the Smartsheet panel, on the left-hand side is the File System panel, and at the bottom is the Data to be Transferred panel. While the API key and region fields are on the right-hand side, they actually apply to both offload and onload functions. Be sure to have a valid sysadmin token ready before starting the process. For the first scenario, we'll walk through the process of restoring one of the offloaded workspaces for our test user back into the same Smartsheet account and region. Click the Refresh button in the Smartsheet pane to generate or refresh the list of users. This will confirm that the API token is working correctly. Then we'll go over to the File System pane in HSO and click the Refresh button to get the latest view of the recently offloaded users and workspaces. Now we can navigate to the user and workspace that we would like to onload. Note that at this time you can select all users and all workspaces, or you can select specific users and specific workspaces. In our case, we would like to onload just one workspace, so we will expand the Users node and identify the target workspace to onload. Note that you may need to find the most recent offload if there are several offloads on disk. Next, click the Onloader Configuration button to generate the onload config file. At this point, the information in the Data to be Transferred pane at the bottom has been updated to show only the workspaces to be imported, and the Onload button will appear. Now we can click the Onload button, and a pop-up window will appear to verify the onload parameters. Note that in this release, only sheets can be imported using HSO Onloader. Click the Run button, and then switch over to the console server window to monitor progress. Once the onloader has completed, you can switch back to the HSO console and click the Close button. At this point, the workspace has been onloaded into the user's account, as a new workspace with the same name as the original offloaded workspace. This means that there will now be duplicate workspaces in the user's account. Let's switch over to the user's Smartsheet account and take a look. If Smartsheet is already open, be sure to refresh to show the latest changes. You will now see the duplicate workspace alongside the original workspace. The only way to tell the difference between the two workspaces is to look at the created date and time for each. At this point, it is recommended that you rename the imported workspace to make it easier to distinguish between the two. In addition to duplicating the workspace, we have also just created duplicates of all the sheets. The newly imported sheets have the same names as the original sheets in the original workspace. When we open one of the imported sheets, we can see that the core data has been restored correctly, but much of the original formatting has been lost. This is due to the way that Smartsheet saves the exported data in Excel. At this point, it is possible to copy or move rows from this imported sheet to the original sheet if you need to fix corrupted data in the original sheet. But if you imported this sheet for a different purpose, then you may need to manually reformat the column types and some of the data. Now let's take a look at the process to onload a workspace to a different Smartsheet account in a different region. We'll start at the point where we refresh the file system pane. Then we will need to provide a sysadmin token for the target Smartsheet account, and we will need to select the appropriate region for that account as well, and remember to click Save. After the success message, we can click the Offload Refresh button to confirm the list of members in the target onload account. Then select one of the users and one of the workspaces. Click the Generate Offload Configuration button and do an offload. This step is required at least once to save the sysadmin token details that will be used in subsequent onload processes. Now, in the File System pane, let's select the user and workspace that we want to onload as before. Then we can click the Generate Onload Configuration button to generate the config file. As before, the Data to be Transferred pane at the bottom shows what will be included in the onload process. At this point, we will need to customize the onloader configuration file to make sure it points to the correct target user and includes the correct workspace and so on. To do that, navigate to the HSO_data folder on disk and open the config onload YAML file. Be sure to use an editor like Notepad++ or Visual Studio Code to edit. In the HSO section, review and confirm that the token and region settings are correct for the target Smartsheet environment. Then, in the Users section, change the user email address to the email address of the target user. In this case, we will be onloading to the user called Lex Luthor in the target account in the US region. Be sure to retain the formatting in the YAML file when making edits. Then click Save and close the config file. Now switch back to the HSO console and click the Onload button. Confirm that all the information looks good, then click the Run Now button to start the onload process. At this time, you can switch over to the console server window to monitor progress. When the onloader has completed, you can switch back to the HSO console and close the onload pop-up window. Next, let's switch over to Smartsheet and log into Lex's account in the US region to see if everything worked as expected. And here, we can see the newly imported workspace, together with the sheets that were imported. As mentioned before, these imported sheets do not have all the formatting of the original sheets, so there will be some manual work required to restore all the formatting if that is needed. That concludes the onloader demonstration. Be sure to watch the offloader demonstration if you have not seen that yet. And be sure to bookmark the resources on this slide for more information about HSO. Thanks for watching. Visit our website at www.AcuWorkflow.com for more information.